How much money did I spend in my Europe trip? In this video, I'll be talking about all the expenses that I incurred in my recent trip to Europe, and we'll be going through each of the expenses so that you guys can know how much money I spent in my recent trip. I'll be doing it by eating my favorite snack called hananaki. So this is a Korean snack, and I know the picture is really weird, but it is a banana that's kicking a soccer ball, and the snack is called Banana Kick. It looks like a Cheeto, but it tastes like a very sweet artificial banana. In my previous video, I talked about my first ever time doing a G Adventures trip. For those of you who don't know, G Adventures is a travel operator and they're based in Canada. Honestly, I had such a positive time that I would really recommend it to anyone who wants to try solo traveling but are a little bit scared to do everything by themselves. I'm gonna go through all of my expenses in my recent trip to Europe and talk about the costs because I know a lot of people are curious about this, and I honestly would like click on this video because I'd be just curious to see how other people spend money on their trips and travels. The G Adventures package trip that I got from Paris to Rome, so it was Paris, Interlaken to Rome. It was 3 different countries in 7 days, and that package trip cost me $1,649. So that was definitely one of my biggest expenses on this trip. Within the $1,649, it includes all of my accommodations, and I forgot to mention this in my previous video, but the accommodations for G Adventures are mostly going to be at hostels. So it's not the most luxurious experience. You won't really get to go to like a 4-star or 5-star hotel, but honestly, a lot of hostels in Europe are very nice and clean, just like the bare minimum, and has all of the other accommodations that you might expect. And my next big expense was definitely my flights. So I booked a multi-trip flight so that I would fly in directly to Paris and then leave from Rome back to New York. And that trip cost me $1,632. I would say those two, the G Adventures package trip and my flights, those were the biggest expenses individually in my entire trip. And then here comes all the other stuff. So cash, I converted USD into a mix of euros and also Swiss francs. And I converted about 345 USD into euros and francs. I added up all of my expenses for food and drinks during the entire trip, and that cost me about $255 for 7 days. I also added on some additional optional activities during my trip that cost me a little bit more money. So the paragliding activity that I did in Switzerland, that was about 200 USD dollars. And then the taxis, this is from New York to the airport, and also in Rome when I was going from my hostel back to the airport. Those two combined cost me about $132. And so my G Adventures trip ended a little bit earlier than I wanted it to, and I knew that my days in Rome would be really limited because when I saw the full itinerary, I saw that we only spend about maybe a day and a half in Rome, and I wanted at least one more day in Rome to spend it by myself. So I booked one more night at the same hostel that G Adventures booked for me in Rome. So I just booked like one more night at that same hostel, and that cost me about $108. We also did another optional activity in Switzerland. It was where you could rent this hot tub and you get to drive it around in Lake Brienz, which was really, really cool. So I split this with 6 other girls, and this cost me about $80. Honestly, the hot tub was a really good choice because the lake, you can swim in it, but it was extremely cold, like almost like cold plunge level. So it was really nice to be in a hot tub in the middle of a freezing lake because you could go back and forth between like the really nice warm water and also the really cold water if you wanted to go in there. G Adventures also makes you buy your own travel insurance, and my travel insurance cost me about $68. And as for additional transportation stuff that I had to pay for during my trip, this includes like some additional train tickets to go from point A to point B, and all of that combined, that cost me about $27. And I did have to do some laundry in my Switzerland hostel, and Switzerland's known to be like really expensive on all fronts, but I'm honestly glad that I did my laundry there because I was getting like a lot of really like soiled, dirty clothes during my trip because it was during the summertime and I was sweating a lot, so I had to do laundry at my Switzerland hostel, and that cost me about almost $18. And in order to go to Europe, I made sure that I bought myself a travel adapter just so that I can charge everything, like my phone and my cameras and my microphones, like all of the other, all of my electronics, so that I won't be low on battery, especially my phone. Like, I think the most important thing is to charge your phone. But so I bought a travel adapter before I went, and that cost me about $11 at Target. So all of the expenses added cost me about $4,526. Let me know in the comments if you think that was a really good way to spend money, or you think I could have saved in other areas. But yeah, that's like all the money that I spent in my Europe trip.
And I tried to be reasonable within my expenses and not spend too much on crazy things.
I hope this helps you get a better sense of where your spending might be if you decide to travel to Europe this year. But let me know in the comments what you think about this, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!